Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday today. I believe in Israel it's Wednesday, yes?
No, it's still Tuesday.
It's still Tuesday. Okay, my guest today, now, I have not heard this person before. I have not heard this person until our good friends, Carlos Rufino, shared his video and critiqued his video. So I remember that very well. Ever since that time, I followed this dude, and I've seen him not only grow up, but became an expert when it comes to Bachata Dominicana or Tradicional, because he is always in the Dominican Republic for some reason. I'm not going to ask, is it probably going to be TMI, all of that stuff, food, women, booze, but whatever. Welcome, Dima. How are you, sir?
Good, man. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you, dude. It's like 9 p.m. in, where are you, Tel Aviv?
I'm near Tel Aviv. I live in a city close to Tel Aviv. It's like 15
Okay.
minutes from Tel Aviv. Yeah.
How
But
far are you from the airport?
Oh, I believe half an hour.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Yeah. Now, what's the pandemic like there? What states are you guys in where you're allowed to do?
I think we're in the worst stage because we have the second wave. So now we're restricted to stay only in our houses and go maybe 1,000 meters. I don't know how we can transfer it to your measures, but I would say half a mile from our home. So only like the groceries are open and we're not allowed to do anything.
Oh man. So you guys have some beaches there, right?
Oof, we have 3 beautiful seas. We have
And
the
you're
Dead
not
Sea.
allowed to go there, yeah?
No, only if you live 1,000 meters from the sea, so you can go.
What about those people that are flying in from another country? Are they in quarantine for 14 days?
I think yes. I think yes. But I think now there's some regulations, some agreements between countries. It depends where you're coming from. And so they decide how much time you need to be at home or something like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Oh man, that sucks. You think we're gonna be able to do this next year? Congress is dancing and all of that stuff. Because I really want to go to Israel, bro.
And I really want you to come here, and I
mean,
really hope.
you and Alon. He wants me to be there
Yes.
too, you know.
Yes, of course. Alon admires you, man. I really hope that we will be able to do that because I really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know before the pandemic, I invited you to Hawaii for the Dominican Expo, and
Yes.
we were talking about that. We haven't made the deal yet, but then the pandemic came, so oh well.
All our plans, all the world changed.
Ruined, man, ruined. But what you've been doing? Have you been listening to bachata music, educating yourself, reading stuff, and all that stuff?
That's most of what I've been doing, man.
It's like reading the Bible. It's like reading the Bible daily.
Well, yeah, I mainly my main thing that I was doing is going deep into the music, like trying to be better as DJ and trying to understand this profession more because that's what I was left, like my computer and music. So
yeah.
and
When you DJ, I know most DJs use their headphone. Do you use headphone to figure out what the next music is and what?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
That's good.
But like half.
Yeah,
like
half
you
of it.
have one ear on the crowd and one ear listen what you're gonna play next. Yeah.
How much education have you have when it comes to Dominican music? We're talking about merengue and bachata.
Well, I have informal education.
Of course.
Of what
all of us have.
But I was lucky enough to have Carlos, so he is like my #1 teacher. He helps me with the music, he helps with the mixing, he helps with everything. So
yeah, he plays a good, well-balanced music, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and were you planning to go to DR a couple of times maybe this year?
Yeah, I was supposed to go on May, I was supposed to go to the States and then to Dominican Republic for festivals. And yeah, this was my plan because every year I'm going there. So this was my plan this year as well.
That's too bad, but hopefully next year we'll be able to do what we want to do when it comes to dancing. I'm hoping. For me as a promoter, my gaze is, although two of my festivals, let's say the San Diego Expo and the Dominican Expo, are really 90% social, and the rest is like performance. The rest of my festival is a performance because that's where you make money. So I'm gauging that when I don't see teams practicing for their routine or whatnot, I was like, this is not a good sign, man. So we'll see what happens. I just got a call from Hawaii, trying to set up for next year. So let's see what happens when I call them this week. They want to make a deal because I believe that most hotels right now during the pandemic wants to make a deal, which is the best time to do it.
Obviously.
To those promoters out there. So
Obviously.
what before the pandemic, Dima, what have you been doing in Israel? What's Israel like when it comes to dancing?
Well, Israel have a really big dancing scene. This is what most people I think don't know, but we
Yeah,
have
they don't know
really
this. Yeah.
comparison to our size, we have socials every day,
Wow.
and it for the last year it was mostly bachata sensual. Is what I can say, and like every day you had somewhere to go. Because Israel is very small. You can go from one side to another side in 5 hours.
That's just like Singapore.
So
Singapore, the city is Singapore, the country is Singapore.
exactly. So the scene was very big, and there were a lot of festivals. We had like maybe 4 or 5 festivals a year.
A year, yeah.
Yeah, and people were always going abroad to all the festivals in Europe. A lot of dancing teams, a lot of lessons. Like a lot of people were living this dancing life here. So yeah, Israel is pretty intense in terms of dancing.
Yeah,
Um,
I heard even their Congress is there. I heard even from Ismail said they have a good Congress there. It's like, wow.
exactly.
Yeah,
Ismail was here, I think, last year or 2 years ago,
yeah.
and yeah, we have one city. It's like a resort city. It's on the south, next to Egypt, and it's like a hotel with maybe 2,000 or maybe 3,000 people,
Hmm.
and it's all day workshops, dancing, workshop dancing. It's very huge.
Wow. Now, when it comes to Bachata Tradicional, I know that there's a small group there that meets. How often do you
Yeah.
guys meet?
So well, Alon was the only guy here who suggested his school for me to have these weekly lessons,
One
and
room, right? Yeah.
yeah, we had a separate room, and then we were mixed. Then we were mixed, but he gave me the opportunity to be the DJ for both of them.
Oh,
So
that's good.
yeah, so I could do my stuff there as well. And we also organized small parties, and then I was organizing an event every year, which is like very small but very traditional event. Like
Okay.
bringing all the big guys. I brought Rodolfo, brought Sveko and Joanna, Edwin, Junior, Carolina, and it was like an annual event that I was organizing with my team with the Dominican embassy here. So it was very, very, very nice event.
Was the Dominican embassy participating and sponsoring the event?
And they were not actually sponsoring, the Dominican probably doesn't have a lot of money, but they were supporting. They were supporting a lot, and we're really good friends.
Oh,
Really
that's
good
good.
friends.
That's good.
Yeah, and like the ambassador and me were very close, and so we were managing to do that stuff. They were helping me with bringing the people here, with
Got it.
the customs and all the visa stuff and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, Dima, how you DJ now because I saw you as a dancer, and most good traditional dancers usually they get into DJing because it is the music after all, right? Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you this question: being a proponent of traditional bachata, when you DJ in a room that's not strictly traditional but rather mixed, how do you balance your music?
So you need to be very picky about the music. Obviously, as a DJ, your only job is to please the crowd. It's not like what you love, it's what
Yeah,
they want to hear.
right.
So I always say that it's not like I would listen to Raulín Rodriguez and Luis Vargas all night long, but it's not what they want to hear. So it's always about balance. Always
Yeah.
about balance. What they would be able to dance to, and also my crowd is very like whiny. If I don't play enough stuff, they're gonna come to the booth and say, "Oh, Dima, you're traiting us. You're a traitor." Went to the other side.
Do they know the difference though?
Yeah,
They
of
do.
course,
Okay, that's a
of
good
course.
thing because
All
some
look,
people,
all yeah.
when I play Prince Royce or even Aventura, that's a fast song. They think is traditional. you
This
know?
is the situation now. Like when you play Aventura, they think it's traditional. When I started, it was like part of the sensual scene. So yeah, times are changing.
Aventura is the one who created urban bachata for crying out loud.
Exactly, exactly. So I need to balance between both of the crowds, and it's difficult because
Now
like
the question is, I know because I discussed this with DJs that loves modern bachata, but not so much quite into traditional. And I discuss this with other people that are into traditional, but play some modern bachata. The confusion is, and I get confused when I ask them, how do you balance it? What's the ratio? Because some of them, oh, I balance the music, they play modern like 10, they play 2 traditional. That's not balancing the music, guys. I mean,
no,
what do you do?
no. Um, First of all, it depends and what time of the party you are, because in the beginning you cannot start with the hard stuff. So you have the soft stuff in both of the styles. You can like play Romeo for both of them, and Romeo is always the best thing because both of the crowds love them.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night you can go a little bit higher. So it's playing with energies. It's playing with them because you have traditional that is very soft and very nice, like Frank Reyes, Zacharias, those guys,
Yeah.
and you can play with them, and people will not even notice.
Especially
So
even if you play El Torito, which is more in the in the
exactly,
border.
exactly.
Yeah,
So it's always balancing it, and it's a hard job to be DJ for both
very hard.
crowds. If I go only to Central Room, it will be easy for me. If I go only to Traditional Room, it's going to be very easy for me. But playing for both crowds, it's difficult.
So do you think this confusion of the crowd, because most of them are very uneducated when it comes to the music of bachata, they don't know
Yeah.
the difference. Do you think it's the DJ's fault or the teacher's fault when they instruct the
Both,
students? Both.
both,
Do you think we
both.
should be implementing certain historic music and the difference and all of that besides the movements of dancing?
Obviously, man. Obviously, it's all about education. So you get education when you learn to dance, and you get education when you're in social. So it should be combined. It's both of those authorities fall to teach people. This is their job.
Yeah.
So if you see majority of the dancers or the teachers doing demos and showing how bachata looks on some remix, the DJ doesn't have a lot of free area to play,
Yeah.
um, because they don't like it. They don't get used to that during the lesson.
That's true.
So
Now,
uh,
when it comes to merengue, why do you think 70% of the people that dance bachata hates it?
Well, 70% of the people who dance bachata, they don't hate it.
70%. I'm not saying in the Dominican Republic now. That's a different
But
story, man.
70%.
All over the world.
Okay, I can tell you the story of my place of Israel. Uh, Merengue was played here, I think, 20 years ago, and it was like part of salsa parties.
Correct.
And it was only one kind of merengue, maybe 2 or 3 songs at very high and very certain style of merengue.
Yeah.
So all the people from now generation that think it's something old, but it's again, it's about education, man. It's always about that.
Whenever people argue that with me, some of my students would hate merengue. It's like, why are you gonna play merengue? It's too boring. It's too simple and everything. Look, if you dance salsa, it's a given. You like cha-cha-cha, right? It is a given. If you dance bachata, it's a given. You like merengue because it's part of it. They're like they're relatives, you know, and so they still can get that. But not to mention, like you said, 20 years ago to this day, in most of the areas in the world, plays one type of merengue. We're talking about oro solido, this type of merengue. When you play one Luis Guerra, like La Travicia, for example, they're gonna ask you, what is that?
Exactly.
You know? Is that merengue? Like, yes, it's not merengue.
I think the deeper problem, Rod, is not only merengue. It's one certain style of certain bachata.
Got it.
And it's they have the same response to salsa. Now the new generation, they hate salsa. If you play one salsa during the night of a sensual evening, they're gonna get mad. So
no, wait a minute. Why is that? Is it because they don't know how to dance it?
Yes. Obviously. Yeah. This is the way they're taught. They taught about movement first and then music. They taught about choreography and technique of dancing versus listening to what's happening and to appreciate the music. So it's not only merengue. I cannot play salsa. I cannot play any genre. And even think about even if I play different bachata, it's already a scene. So
let's gaze on the very subject of this discussion, which is Tradicional, Moderna, Sensual. Okay, this is part one of the discussion, ladies and gentlemen. The part two would be with Pierre, who's more into the middle. I don't know if it's into middle. Maybe he's for Sensual. I don't know. I'll find that out on Friday, and then we will bring this two together with other panels for the coming week to just really concentrate on the debate on this, so that in the end we can all understand each other. But what is your opinion on Moderna? When we're talking Moderna, I'm talking about salsa-ish, traveling patterns type of movement. And when I'm talking sensual, we're talking sexy-ish, zouk type of movement, dips, and all of that stuff, compared to what we know what bachata is from the Dominican Republic. So tell me your opinion. I'll tell my opinion, and then we'll go from there.
So my opinion is, I don't care what people are dancing. This is my main opinion. I know what I'm selling and what I'm presenting. And for me, people on the social dance floor should enjoy themselves. This is what I care about. You want to do that, you feel good about that, it's your choice.
Yeah.
And the second thing is what you're selling. If you're selling what you're teaching under certain label, this is where my problem begins. Okay? Because if it's art, you should appreciate your art and not discourage others. I started in Sensual. I think it's awesome. I think this style brought many people to the scene. I love people doing that when they do it nice and beautiful. And I don't care people doing it on the dance floor. And what I love about that is when people from Sensual scene are looking into the roots and want to learn more. And this is again my problem when I look at the salsa scene. And this is a good example I have from the Congress. I saw people from the mambo scene coming to the son lesson of one of the most appreciated teachers of son cubano, and they came as students. You know, so this is what I'm looking into when I look in the industry. On the dance floor, if you like it, if you don't hurt anybody, do whatever you want.
But
Do whatever you want.
what do you prefer? Is it the enjoyment of the movement of the dance, or is it the historical fact of the dance?
So for me, it's very important to present people the whole context. You know, to present them that with bachata, that there's a big bag coming with. You know, you have the history, you have a whole continent, you have a history that you maybe would need to look in. And you know, I always compare it to other hobbies. If you see people that love rock music, they can tell you which strings, I don't know, the Metallica guitarist was using during this specific performance.
Yeah.
This is what defines hobby. You know, this is what defines your passion. If you love that, you're gonna research it. It's the same. I want it to be a culture and not a fashion.
Yeah. I think we're pretty similar in that regard. I don't have any problem dancing other styles, like let's call it sensual, modern, trap
Bro,
chata,
bro, there are many
bachata.
videos of me like in the late night after I drink a little bit, dancing sensual, doing body
Yeah,
moves.
bachatango,
Whatever.
whatever, you know. Back in the day when I was just beginning in bachata, I was dancing sensual, and it wasn't even named sensual at that time, you know. It was just bachata, because to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, in the early days of bachata, when we were teaching it, we were just making up shit. Okay, anyone who's gonna deny that is stupid, because they know for a
But
fact they were just making up shit. How? If they had a salsa background, that's exactly what they're gonna teach in bachata. If they had tango background, that's exactly what they're gonna teach with bachata, because at that
because
time,
nobody knew.
not just that, there was no other movement. It was not a lot of movement. You know? So they're gonna have to create something. But the moment I went to the Dominican Republic, it changed me, not because of the culture. That's the difference between you and me. Not because of the culture, not because of the truth, but because I feel it more. You see, when I
Okay.
dance it with the music, I enjoy it. I feel it more than dancing to modern urban bachata. So it's not because of the historical fact. It's not going to make me feel guilty nevertheless. Okay, because
No.
I'm Filipino. I'm not from the Dominican Republic, you know.
Man, I'm Ukrainian. I have like I wasn't born on the island as you. I was like far apart on the
we're just gonna have to
the mainland.
we're, we're just gonna have to call you Dominicano Rubio. But my problem, and that is also your issue, is the labeling. Okay.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Somebody
I
said,
cannot.
I mean, like you see on YouTube, a competitor, a bachata champions, quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah.
They say bachata champions, and then you watch their routine, their winning routine. There was no bachata whatsoever, because
Zero.
they call it bachata cabaret. Now,
Yeah.
again, we have problems with label, because a new student or a new person will see the video and say, "So that's bachata."
Exactly, man. This is marketing. This is labeling. We're in a business industry. It's not. Nobody cares about culture and history. Let's be fair. Like people when they want to dance, if they're guys, they want to maybe hook up. If they're girls, they just want to find something new. Nobody cares about history and culture. It's not interesting. It's not selling. It's not what sells this product. And if you want people to get interested in that, you need to create some value. And if all your value is how it looks, There's my problem.
Now, let's talk about, because I know in bachata traditional there's not a lot of traveling. Okay, they don't use the whole dance floor really. Unless they do some merengue steps and keep going there or whatever. But the side to side traveling step. Now this annoys the shit out of me. This side to side because
I remember your video from
oh
I think
dude,
10 years ago.
it annoys.
Yeah.
I was doing that, but that's what I saw in some other people, like in Italy and Europe. So I just imitated it. But
So
no
let
one
me
used
settle.
no one used that in the Dominican Republic. No
let
one.
me settle. Let me settle. Man, your video influenced me a lot. You need to know that because when I saw that, I was, well, he is right.
It was funny
I
though.
saw. It was funny, but he was right. Nobody uses that.
Yeah.
But what I found out that they use it to teach kids. They use it to teach
Yes.
people who just learning to walk and to dance,
Yeah.
and then they grow up and they stop doing that.
Now, when did they use it? Did they use it before social media or during social media? Because I have a theory. My theory is they stole that from YouTube because they didn't know how to teach bachata. Okay, they didn't know how to use lesson plans on how to teach bachata. Therefore, they're just stealing those movements. Because why? Because when you see
I
them
think,
social
yeah,
dance, you don't see them doing it.
nobody uses it.
No,
Nobody uses
no. I saw Rodolfo one time, respect to the brother. I saw it. He was doing side to side step when he's teaching workshop. You see his
it. You see,
demo? He's not using
no.
it.
Not only Rodolfo is one of my mentors, and I went to. He was one of the main people who influenced me, and when I
He's a
went
he's
to
he's
his
he's
class,
also a sonero, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I brought him to Israel actually because
Oh, good.
the influence he had on me. But
Yeah,
we need to adapt our teaching styles to who we are teaching.
I see.
Okay, so I think it's not bad to use that as long as you explain the context.
Yeah,
Uh, I have an internal debate always when I teach people who didn't do any steps, never, like first comers, they just arrived to a lesson and they want to learn bachata. What do you teach them? And I don't know, man. I don't know. You can use that. I never do. I always start with the stationery.
I
I think it's
personally, the moment I embraced traditional bachata, I stopped doing side to side step. I call it side
I
steps because
understand.
I do not move. I stay in one spot. You know, there's a difference, ladies. There's a difference between side steps and there's a difference between traveling side to side steps. Now, I
Yes.
don't use the side to
The
side.
electric slide. Electric
Yes,
slide.
wait,
I like your
I
term.
used to call it electric slide. In 2011, I started. So usually, when I used to teach before 2011, I teach side to side step first, the very first step of bachata. Now, what's the first step? By 2011, I use box step. That was it. That was the very first step. I never taught side to side steps ever again. Now, when somebody asks me, let's say a mujer asks me to dance with her and she likes to do sensual and she's doing side to side there, I'm not going to insult her. I'm going to go with her. So, you know, but okay, so we settled that side to side, although the teachers uses it during class, they don't use it
Yeah.
during social dancing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about footwork? Right now, there's so many footwork in what we call Dominican bachata, okay? Because
Yes.
when they say traditional, they don't really use a lot of footwork. They say
No.
Dominican bachata. Now, is there something wrong with using footwork? When it comes to originality and the origins of bachata, there was no footwork, not much. In fact, it probably doesn't even exist, but because of bolero type of structure. But what do you think now of this fancy footwork that we see?
Well, I had problem with that when I started, and I have problem with it now. I think footwork is a decoration. It's the last step. It's the last step of your education that you learn, and it's right to every genre. It's right to salsa, it's right to bachata, it's right to kizomba. It's the same. Footwork is a decoration. You have a strong basics. This is when you need to start. But again, we're talking about business and we're talking about what sells. So footwork is the easy part. Try to sell basics to anyone.
No, you can't.
It's
They'll get bored. They'll get bored after about 1 week. They'll never come back.
try to win the social media with just basics.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And again, it's the same problem. It's the same. It's styling versus the real stuff. You know, so it's the same. Footwork is important. It's part of the dance. You may use it, you may not use it. If you want to be advanced dancer, you can learn it and see how you do in the dance. And you see a lot of people from the Dominican Republic using fancy footwork, and everybody have their own style. But all of them know basics perfect.
Yeah.
So
What Dima is talking about, ladies and gentlemen, that although they're doing all of this footwork now, especially the kids and the young ones in the Dominican Republic, they have not lost the structure of the dance. They still do the
no,
basic. They still you could still detect, you could still trace that it is
exactly,
indeed bachata, you know, as opposed to
exactly,
other style that we were talking about that they do all these fancy moves, but it's out of the structure, if that makes sense.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Footwork
Uh,
need the context.
yeah. Now, is sensual, modern, and other stuff, is it an evolution version of bachata?
Not if you ask me.
Well, I ask you, why?
I think it's not an evolution. It's a change. Evolution is seeing younger generation, people under my age, like generation under me, let's say 20 years old. They are the evolution. They're using dembow techniques in bachata. They're listening to different music and doing different stuff. It's not evolution because it was developed in other places. And as you said, nobody knew. You said it. You know, nobody knew how it was actually done, so they invented their own stuff. It can't be evolution. Evolution is something from here grows up, and it can be something that just different from the beginning. So it's not an evolution. I think we're experiencing now going back to the roots. What I love now that people are going back, people who say, you know, I did you watch the interview with Jorge when he said, now I'm starting to learn the origin. I'm starting to learn the Dominican bachata now, and I think it's the most important before you start sensual. And he was the guy who invented sensual. So
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
you cannot say it's a. I will send you this link.
Yeah.
I heard his. I was in Berlin with Pierre, where he said it. You know, he said, now, all of you people need to go back to the roots and start from Bachata Tradicional.
Right. And
So the guy who invented evolution now saying the opposite, it
yeah, see,
somehow contradicts.
my problem with the word evolution, the term evolution, is because when something is evolved, it's coming from that. It's coming from something. How do
Exactly.
you know? Because you could still trace some elements of that origination. Okay, so therefore you call it evolution. Okay,
Yeah.
for example, Neanderthal man, Peking man, are all, you know, when we were schooled when it comes to evolution, the evolution theory of Darwin. Uh, you still see the human structure there. Okay, but it evolved into something good looking like me. You know, but
You're
yeah,
very good looking, man.
but I agree with you. Sensual, Moderna, and all of that stuff. I don't see any trace of the real bachata, the way it was.
unless Rod, unless there are people who learn Central and going to study that. And we have Daniel Chong. You want me to go for
Yes,
the
yeah,
response
Daniel.
in
I love
Facebook?
that guy.
I believe there are countless people going back to bachata from Ireland because they came into bachata in the modern sensual age, and I agree with that. I agree with that, and this is evolution. I agree with Daniel. He says that many people go to roots and learn from the roots because they came thanks to sensual and modern bachata.
I agree.
And
Daniel definitely has learned the roots of bachata, and you could see it in his styles. When
yes,
he mix it with
yes,
something, you could still see it.
exactly.
Carlos will never say it. It's 100%, but Rufino, that is, because he criticized Daniel also.
He
About
criticizes
Rufino.
everybody, man. He
Side
criticized
story.
me.
We used to be in good terms. Right now, we're not in good terms. It's on and off my relationship with Rufino.
Mhm.
Back in the day, he used to praise Troy and Georgette. Once he found out that
Really?
yeah. Once he found out that they weren't Dominicans, he started criticizing.
So
But our
I
friends,
think, Rod, it's like being married, right? Sometimes agree, sometimes disagree.
I've always disagreed his approach on Facebook, but you meet him in person, he's a good guy. He's really a good guy.
I
Just
know,
like many Dominicanos in person that you
I
meet,
know,
very
I know.
hospitable, very friendly. And
I respect.
I
I
respect
respect.
that from him, from watching him. He rented a studio so that he could share to me what he's planning to teach,
Yeah,
because he wasn't the only one who asked me how they can teach bachata, their dance, because they don't know how. And
yeah.
so I was observing him. From him, I discovered the concept called flow. Because
Yes.
when I was dancing traditional already, flow was not in my mind. You see,
No, it was.
once I discovered the flow, the whole feel and the whole feeling of the music and the move is 100%. You know, so where were we? We were talking about, yeah. So I treat uh, Moderna, Sensual, Chata, whatever you want to call it. I treat them as innovation.
Innovation. I like that word.
I treat them. It's not evolution. It's innovation. Because
I like that.
now, what about bachata dominicana with footwork? That's evolution. Bachata dominicana with footwork. That's evolution right there. Because you
You
can
know
still
what?
trace bachata.
You know what I love to give an example. I have a really good friend here, whose name is Hiram. He's a Dominicano who came here and
Yeah.
married an Israeli girl, and he's a DJ, and we're working together. And through him, I really experience the different aspects of Dominican culture. And when the first time he came to my house, I wanted to impress him. So I put music that I thought it was the most Dominican. I put like the 70s bachata. And
Yeah.
he told me, man, this is what my father was listening. We're not
Right.
listening to it now. So if the music went through evolution, as in every culture, we have music from the 70s, 80s, 90s. We have generations over generations for listening and responding to the music. We have evolution within the culture, within the bachata, correspondingly. So, we cannot neglect that side. We cannot neglect people who actually live that and
Yeah.
evolve. Because for them, bachata moderna is not like how their grandparents were dancing or how their parents were dancing. You will not show them, whatever couple now and
Mm.
say, "Oh, this is evolution of bachata." And it's like, no, man, this is not.
Yeah. Most of the Dominicans I know in the East Coast or the West Coast, um, most of them doesn't really have that issue with the movements. They have issue with music, you know.
Exactly, man.
So when they go to a club, bro, when they go to a club and they're playing, let's say, some of those very slow bachata, which is called sensual music or remix, I should say.
Yeah.
They walk out the club, dude. They don't stay. Now,
Because when
when I DJ, what do they request the most? It's either Frank Reyes, Raulín, or
exact,
merengue.
exactly, man. Exactly. People think that Dominicans just want like only the fast stuff, only the 160 BPM. it's just so different, and there's a big gap between the reality of like what do they really listen to and what do they really dance to, and to what we think it is.
Okay,
And
so now I have another theory, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate now. I'm not gonna be nice to you. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Like what Pierre always say, Bachata Sensual, Moderna, Bachatango, Bachata Tradicional, it's an umbrella of bachata. It's an umbrella. Now, I never quite could understood that concept that he used to discuss with us on Facebook when we used to debate each other, you know. But hear me out for a moment, because originally, my brother, bachata was not a dance. Bachata was not the music. Bachata was partying with family, partying with friends, drinking brugal, dancing to rigaton, son, merengue, you know. That
it
was
is
bachata, right? Do you agree with that?
okay.
Okay.
I
Now,
agree.
now, it was even the dancers, they don't call it bachateros. They call it, oh, those are the dancers from San Cristobal. You know,
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
never called bachata dancers, okay? Um, Now, the music changed a little bit from bolero to a more, with a four phrase instead of three phrase of the music. You know? It's a three beats with bolero. It's four beats with bachata. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2,
yeah.
3, 4. Okay. Now, for some reason, it just evolved to the name bachata. Nobody knew because the music was not called bachata. What was it called? Música de
No,
amargue. It's a description of the music.
yeah,
Just like the way they describe the dancer, it's the description. They never really named them or labeled them at that point.
no.
Then it became bachata. That, in my limited knowledge of the history, I don't know how that came about. All I know is that, you know,
Nobody knows.
I have read Deborah Passini's Hernandez book from cover to cover like 10 times. I could never find the origination of the name bachata, you know?
Wait, Rodney, wait.
This is good, guys. This is good. If you have any questions.
I have the book right here, man.
Yes, yes. Oh, my book, right? My book, when I used to read it, that was a different cover. It's the old cover. That's a new cover, sir.
you're you have the original version of the book.
Yeah. Because if you read the entire book, it should be titled merengue. It should not be titled bachata because she only touched a little bit about bachata.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Although have you read the Spanish? There's a bachata in Spanish version. It's a textbook also, but I forgot the title. Edwin used to tell me about it, but I forgot. There's a Spanish version, but it's not by Deborah Passini Hernandez.
Mm.
Uh,
He showed me that, but I never got it.
Yeah, so I'm talking about since bachata then was the umbrella of family party,
Yeah,
friendship, drinking,
yeah.
brugal, you name it. Why can't we consider sensual, moderna, and other styles of bachata an umbrella of bachata, thereby distinguishing each bachata styles as they are? For example, bachata dominicana.
I can have a simple answer for that.
Go ahead.
Because everything you described is non-existent in this scene. And it's not about the music, it's not about the dance, it's about the vibe. Everything you describe is non-existent in the scene of sensual, moderna, whatever you call it. It's not about having fun and enjoying ourselves. It's how we look and who we're dancing with, how many times he said me no, and how many times he agreed to dance with me, and what kind of moves did I use. And no, I can drink because I want to be in shape of doing this choreography.
Yeah.
All of this vibe is not existent in this scene. You know, this
Right.
is the most, this is, you know, you pointed exactly about the vibe. And this is why I told you I don't care how people dance.
Yeah.
But if they come to the party and all they care about how they look and what choreography they just learned from somebody, they lost their bachata.
So
Okay?
you're saying that most people who dance bachata is not feeling it.
Exactly. It's about the vibe. You can
Okay.
have bachata without dancing. It's a vibe, man. It's bigger than just technique or choreography that you just learned. It's just
Yeah.
a vibe, and it's so simple because people can have it in other part of their life. They can go to barbecue with their friends or family and just listen to different kind of music,
Mm.
but they cannot connect those two words because every culture have this part. Every culture have this part of having fun and just going out of going, just going to enjoy. But this whole industry became something different. It became into something that is not connected to bachata ambiente, the
Right.
vibe.
Right. The vibe. Yeah. Yeah. Now, which do you prefer, honestly? Bachata Dominicana or Bachata Tradicional? The label. Because
You
I
know,
have an argument with this with Edwin and Carlos. So they prefer
so I
Carlos prefers calling it island style.
yeah,
Edwin prefer calling it traditional.
I call it authentic.
But
This is
authentic,
how I label it.
yeah, yeah. I used to call it that too. But if we look at the meaning authentic, what's authentic? It
What is
could mean,
authenticity?
yeah, it could mean my footwork is authentic. It could
Yeah.
mean my body roll is authentic. So that's the reason I chase it.
So this is exactly my point. If you're authentic, if you're doing what you want to do, and not because you're influenced, it's because somebody is looking at you and want you to do something and expect you from to do something. If you just enjoying yourself, this is authenticity. But some people see it as being a snob,
Right, right,
being like
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I have a problem with tradition
yeah,
because it's not my tradition, man. My tradition is Soviet Union. It
yeah.
has nothing to do with bachata or Latin culture. So
Agree,
I,
agree.
I cannot call it traditional.
Yeah.
And Dominican is the other problem because I'm not Dominican. So how can so I just want to transfer that vibe to everybody. You can be Chinese, you can be Filipino, you can be Mexican, you can be Iranian. Doesn't matter. If you have the feeling, you can enjoy it. And this is exactly what they say, man. So how I'm gonna contradict that? If
Well,
we were
there
living
is
in the
a
perfect world, it would be just bachata.
well,
But
there is a response from other people like Ismail, for example. He would say, "Why are you going to call it bachata dominicana? It's bachata is Dominican, period. So
exactly, exactly, man.
why are you gonna call it bachata dominican?" But here's my reasoning why I like the term better than traditional or authentica. Okay, I like bachata dominicana better. Why? Because we're talking about the present now, right? Okay, we're talking about the
Yeah,
present now. You look at YouTube, they see bachata, and it's not bachata. It's a lot of aerial stuff. Okay, they see another video, it's not bachata. They see a lot of humping stuff. Okay, called Sensual or Moderna. Okay, or ballroom.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
The reason I call it bachata dominicana is to distinguish how Dominican dance it in the Dominican Republic. Number one. Number two, it's to promote Dominican bachata,
I
by
agree with that.
culture, by anything. Number three,
I
I'm
agree
not
with
gonna
that.
call it traditional because most people who dance traditional or that there is already a stigma with traditional that mostly old people practice.
Man, when you hear traditional, you think about something old.
Agreed.
It's if we're thinking about in a business matter, when you hear traditional, it's something ancient.
Yes,
It's
ancient.
something
Yeah.
that it's like belongs to our parents or to our ancestors.
Yes, yes, I know.
So if we're thinking about tabling, well, it was my choice to call it authentic, and this name was, I was talking with a junior, and I was asking him like, what would you like me to present? But again, it's labeling, man. It's labeling. It's always about that.
The problem is labeling. I know. I think that if it's bachata, if it's sensual, I'm okay with them calling it bachata sensual. If it's Moderna,
I have a question from Daniel Chong that I really
go
love.
ahead. Yeah.
So Daniel is asking, and I love his question. How can you judge whether someone is feeling it or enjoying it? I agree you can find people who look like show-offs and like they're performing for someone, but it doesn't mean you don't feel it. So this is my answer, Daniel.
A good question. Yeah.
This is my answer, Daniel. I can judge not only from looking at him, but from having and conversation. And I had many conversations when I was DJing and I was teaching. And I see the vibe of people. They're coming to perform. They're coming to show. They have issues when somebody is telling them, you don't look good, or they want to do like, that like check table, like V, I did that, and that. I'm okay. You can see show. We're talking about like EQ, emotional qualities that you can feel from a vibe from somebody. So this is something you can see and feel. And this is the whole, I can tell you how I can answer that. The bar didn't have any, there were no drinks sold during that night. I was the only one who was drinking. All right, man. And I'm the DJ. This is how I can tell that the vibe is not about party.
Right, right. Now, to answer Daniel's question, that's a tricky one, brother, because we're not psychic, okay?
No.
Whether the person's smiling, we don't know whether he's actually depressed and he's smiling. Maybe he just have a happy face, but there is such thing as a mechanical movement versus feeling the movement. You could tell if it's robotic, and you could tell if he is actually feeling the music. Why? Because when somebody is not feeling the dance and just being robotic, there would be gazillion millions of moves for one 5-minute music. Gazillion of moves. You know something? If you have a lot of those moves, you have no time to feel. You can only feel the dance when you have few movements. This is why when it sounds bachata, you just go like this. And most of the time they don't do a lot of movements because they're busy trying to feel the music. If that makes sense, Daniel.
Overthinking.
Yeah.
Overthinking. You can see that.
I think that, and here's my theory about people doing a lot of moves during the dance. This is my theory. Before that, I can tell you that one of the best social dancers in the world that I know only have 5 movements in salsa. And most of the ladies love to dance with him. Most of the ladies love to dance with him. Now,
exactly.
Here's my theory about gazillion movements. You know why? Because their roots in the basic step is no good. So therefore, they're very uncomfortable dancing.
Compensating.
They'd rather be comfortable doing
they're compensating.
So I hope that answers your question, Danny. But all right, give me your top 5. It's only going to be top 5, sir. Bachata musicians. Now,
Musicians.
before you answer this, I usually answer this when I interview people to test them how knowledgeable they are in music. If they can't, if they can't answer those questions, then I question their passion with the music if they're actually DJs. So answer carefully, sir. Your top 5 musicians.
Musicians.
Yes. Singer, musicians, you name it.
Only bachata.
Only bachata, sir.
Well, musicians. So I will start with something that is uncommon. And I've been watching recently Ala Haza. He is not a bachatero,
Yeah.
but he's a musician. He's a musician in all the dimensions you can imagine. He is a bassist player. He's a tambora player. He's a singer. He's a writer.
So he gets
And I
hired.
really love.
He gets hired by most of the bands, then, huh?
He creates his own stuff.
Got it.
He creates his own stuff, and this is why I really love and appreciate Ala Haza. For me, as a musician, I would go definitely with Ricky Manuel. I didn't witness so much talent in one person. He is just bachata in a person. And I get inspired by just talking to this guy and just watching him. So Ricky Manuel would definitely be my number one.
Yeah.
Musicians. Whew.
Okay. Now I think you're probably misunderstanding the term. Musicians is the one who plays the instruments, and then singers. What I meant is singers in the whole
singers.
In the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
because if we're gonna talk about music, if we're gonna talk about music, it's gonna be another program.
Okay, go ahead.
Singers. Okay, singers. So my number one is definitely Raulin. Raulin is the GOAT. Number one. I love all of his songs. He is the perfect bachatero. The second one I will go with Luis Miguel de la Margue. Man, he knows how to get this arrangement. Obviously Romeo Santos, but it's overrated. Obviously. Who do I like, man? This asking a DJ, what's your favorite? I have 12,000 songs in my computer,
I know,
man, and I cannot decide. Wow. I will go with the one that I listened lately. So I will go with Frank Reyes. I will go with El Varón.
Oh, really? El Varón de la Bachata, yeah?
Yes, yes.
That's
I like his ensemble. I like what he brings. I like his merengue. I like his bachata. It's difficult.
No, that's it. You got 5. What if you're playing? What if you're playing in a mixed Moderna room? What would be your top 5?
JR.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Danny J. It seems like
Danny J's pretty good. Yeah.
Love them. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
Giori has good stuff.
Yeah, he's been coming up with good ones.
yeah. He's like the uprising star. I love him.
Yeah,
I love him. I know him personally, and he's doing really good stuff.
One more.
Profix.
Oh, really?
I will go with Profix.
They're old people. They're old band, but I'm surprised you know that band. That's good.
Man, I need to be updated.
You get high points with that, bro. You know, Profix. Yeah, that's good.
Man, I know the guys who are doing the remixes. I know that scene, and I have respect for them because And this is something that I want to tell you about the DJs, because I know the most important DJs in the Sensual scene, and they're doing a good job.
Really
They're
good.
doing a good job.
Really good.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I saw their sets, and they bring the traditional, that what I love, to the main scene.
Yeah.
And for this, I have a big respect.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you about Raulin. Uh, Although I won't put him in number one, but I agree with you about Raulin that all of his songs are good, very danceable. Okay. Um,
Raulin is the goat, man.
yeah, I
He's the
would pick
goat.
Raulin. I would also pick Ramon Torres uh, uh, to really go deep into that culture because he's got some good songs. Another in that deep culture would be Marino Castellano.
No,
Because of the speed of
now
his,
you went to the other sphere, man.
I had to. I had to, man.
You're taking
I
me to the
had
dark
to.
side.
I
You're
had
taking me to
to.
the.
And then I'll do Joveras. I'll do maybe Luis Vargas also. Anthony Santos. I'm getting tired of him because he hasn't come up with good ones lately, but he's got some good songs in the old days. So I'll put him there.
Well, look, I am the last person to talk about Anthony Santos because I have personal problem with him talking shit about Raulin. I love his songs. He have very good songs, and I will definitely play them. But his personality is what got me with like a problem. I love him,
No,
but
my problem with him is I've never met him in person, but my problem with him is he he always cancels his tour, dude. He always
oh,
cancels his tour in the Western, like whether it's United States or Canada. Whenever somebody advertises Anthony Santos is coming, I don't believe it. I always respond,
oh,
"Good luck," you know, because
Rodney,
he doesn't show up.
Rodney, we have a good question. We have a
Okay,
good
what's the question?
question. Sebastian, you know
Okay,
that guy. He's
yeah,
he's my boy.
he's my man.
He's asking about top five DJs. Top five DJs. And this
Oh
is a
my
question
God,
for an organizer.
Sebastian,
For
you
one,
should not be asking that question.
this
You
is
should
a
not
question
be
for you,
asking a
Rodney.
promoter that question, dude. You can't ask that question, Sebastian. There's so many of you. Jeez.
So Sebastian said, not including myself. I have a response for that. Sebastian, I would prefer not to DJ. I would prefer to go to your set, and this is
I
the only
agree.
time I'm gonna say that. I would
I like,
prefer to go your set,
yeah.
have my relaxed night with my Brugal and the best music I could have, and that's it. I don't want to
Here's
DJ.
what I can say to Sebastian. Sebastian, I'd rather describe each DJs with their positive skills, as it were, because they DJ at my festival and I'm there dancing with their music. Sebastian, for example, I like the flow of music he selects. The flow is just great, man. I mean, he DJ at my festival in Las Vegas, but I never really heard him DJ until he DJ'd in San Diego. It's like, dude, he plays some of the songs that I play that nobody else play.
Man, I had the best night when Sebastian was DJing, and I don't even remember.
It's the flow,
This
bro.
is
It's the flow of the music.
this is the problem because he was making such a good vibe and good energy. I think the quality of the DJ is about knowing to pick the songs. It's not about the technique of mixing, and
Agreed. Yeah.
it's about the knowledge. So come on, Roddy, it's questions for you. What your top five DJs?
There are so many of them, like Carlos Cinta, for example. Sebastian is one of them. Carlos Cinta is another one because when it comes to the art of balancing, when he knows that he's playing for everyone, then he would bring it. And then if he plays, if he plays in the traditional room, that even if he plays in the traditional room, he's still gonna play some classic like Romeo or even the song of Los Tinelas, the former Aventura. He would play those songs because he's in the traditional room. Ron is another one. I respect Ron for a fact that sometimes when he plays music, Ron, where the hell is this? Who is the hell is this singer? Is it Jose before AD or something? He finds music that was so old, but it's still good, you know, when it comes to bolero and like I love it, you know. So I'm learning from each one of these guys. DJ Ron is another one in the Bay Area. You haven't met him, but he's pretty good, man, when it comes to really solid flow of bachata music. Um, when it comes to other DJs that are into the modern world, um, DJ Pierre is pretty good at that when it comes to balancing the whole sensual and everything.
I agree. I
Because
agree.
I heard him play at festivals and I was there, and he played at my festivals also. Really, really good balance DJ.
I want to say something about DJ Pierre because I really love his style of DJing.
Yeah, he balances it
He
out, man. Yeah,
know how to balance. He
yeah,
know how to make the smooth transitions between the songs and make the. I remember myself trying to leave the room when DJ Pierre was playing and always coming back because
yeah, yeah.
he knows what he's doing.
Have you ever heard him in the salsa room, bro?
No.
Dude, he's got some solid, good salsa mambo music. Same with Ron Swarson, the guy before he DJ bachata, dude. He
He
was
was
a
salsa.
mambo
Yeah.
aficionado.
Everybody, man, everybody. Salsa was.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. All right, I think that pretty much we're not gonna extend the hour because um, Dima has a chance to come into the panel 2 weeks from now after Pier, and then we'll discuss more about bachata and certain issues with other stuff like merengue, for example. What type of merengue do you play? Do you play all kinds?
Well, when I'm DJing in the, so I have one more question for you, Rodney.
Okay.
Because Daniel asked it about the separated rooms.
Oh yeah.
Because it's something very American. We
It
don't
is
have it
indeed.
here. We don't have it in Europe. So he was asking like, "Wow, guys, you have separated rooms?"
I'm liking this question because you tied it into America. Well, Americans likes to cause division. We're so divided right now, man. And you wonder why we have separate rooms. Look at the Republican and the Democratic Party. Come on, Daniel. Get a clue, dude. We're so divisive. That's the reason. No. In all seriousness, I would prefer one room, to be honest with you. But in the United States, they're very draconian about certain style. If they're into timba music, Cuban salsa, they don't want to
It's
mix
gonna
it.
be separate.
No.
Separate room.
If they're into traditional, trust me, they don't want any sensual there, dude. Same thing with the sensualist or modernist. If you play one traditional song, they look at you like this and they're still dancing. The moment you play second one, they're gone. I'm gonna get a complaint. That's why it needs to be separated because why? Because most of these dancers are not multidimensional. They don't know how to dance sensual. They don't know how to dance traditional. They don't know how to dance other styles, and therefore they feel left out. When the type of music that you play, they don't feel it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the separated room, not because we're trying to cause divide. I mean, some people like Trump and some people like Biden, but that's another story.
No,
So
man, this is exactly the debate I was having here. Uh, that's a difficult choice. But if the organizers want to divide, they should give like the traditional room one time, the
yeah.
main room.
Well, the fear of the promoters is this. Most of them don't separate Dominican and traditional. They wanted one bachata, but then their DJs play sensual 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, well maybe 99%, but that doesn't count, guys. That does not count when you play half of traditional bachata. Come on, that's not balancing. I had an argument with this with Sola, Christian Sola. He thinks that balancing the music of the room is 7 sensual or slow music, and then 2 traditional. That's not balancing. That's not 50-50. That's why I don't call it balancing. I call it 4-4 ratio or 2-2 ratio. 2 traditional, 2 moderna. That's it. You know, I'm not gonna go higher than that. You know, but uh, the problem with the promoter is they think that when they add another room for traditional bachata alone,
They're gonna bring,
100%,
they're
no
gonna
one's
bring
gonna,
more audience.
yeah, no one's gonna show up, and they're gonna waste money. You know. For me, however, knowing me, you guys know this: Ron, Carlos Cinta, Edwin Ferreras, Juan Mejia, Sebastian. You guys know this. I don't fucking care. I'm gonna separate that room. I'm gonna put a traditional here and sensual here. In fact, Dominican Expo is all traditional. Deal with it. You know, so that's just the way it is. So, okay, I just gone crazy there. But Dima, uh, how did you start dancing? Let's get
Wow.
that last question, yeah? How did you start dancing? Guys, I know you didn't dance bachata first, yeah?
No, man. I started dancing when I was, I think, 24. I just retired from the army,
Yeah.
and I had a girlfriend, and we were looking to do something together. So I just had this trip to South America, and there I got the virus of the music.
Yeah.
So I just went to the local clubs. I was in Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, and I saw people dancing over there. And I was feeling that I need to know that. I need to be like them. So I went back to my country, and I went with my girlfriend to lessons. And there I met Alon Goshen, who was just pushing bachata. He was the first one who's doing that.
Yes, he was
He
the
was like,
first one, yes.
he was teaching Cuban, and while he was teaching Cuban, he said, after we finish that, I have a lesson of bachata, especially like closed room. So this is how I started, and then I started researching, and I started looking into it, and I started going on the internet and looking what is bachata, and this it's like a story for a whole program. So
Yeah. It's that I am always curious as to where our friends started the way they dance, because I know they didn't dance bachata first. And then I'd be curious if they danced bachata first. That would be interesting, right? But salsa came first before bachata, so I guess there you go.
always, always, always. I
But
was in Cuba, I was dancing salsa, and then
yeah,
I came back and I went to non-bachata.
yeah.
This is the
Well,
story.
Dima, thank you very much for the time. I
Thank you
know
for
that
having me, Rodney.
I know that this is not the end. Part 2 of this video would be Pierre this Friday. Well,
Let's do it.
well, you know, he'll be talking about this, and then next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, then we'll all get together and really have at it
Let's
and
do
set the
it.
record straight. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this content, make sure you click like on YouTube, or if you have not subscribed in YouTube, it's on the right side of the screen on YouTube, because sometimes we don't go live. Sometimes I prefer to have in YouTube, because I don't like the views in live Facebook, because some of them leave right away, as opposed to YouTube, which is unique quality view. Which one trying? That's my goal in YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. So youtube.com, Rodchata Aquino, and just subscribe so that you don't miss any episode, because we do episode from dancing, martial arts, bodybuilding, fitness, entrepreneurship, you name it. And when I interview Alon in Israel, I know he's a sex therapist. I don't know what the fuck that means, so I want to know. I want to know the details. Okay.
I'm not sure you want to know, Rodney. I'm not sure you want to know.
All right, Dima. It's good to see you, my friend. And hopefully, when
Thank
this
you.
pandemic is over, we'll get together with you, with Edwin, and all of the comrades that we have in Bachata Tradicional. Maybe in Hawaii. You never know, right? All right, brother. See you for now.
See you. Thank you, man.